What am I doing? Oh yeah. So for those who don't know, I have been on the internet for quite some time. Specifically, I've been making stuff on the internet for 15 years now. I started in 2008. Now for how long I've been on the internet in general, I can't tell you. Definitely longer. I discovered YouTube in like 2007. But I think I've been using the internet beforehand. Just not that often, because at that point I didn't really have my own computer just yet. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I'm a dinosaur when it comes to internet culture. And just seeing how much things have changed over the years. Seeing how much web design has essentially evolved. It's a beautiful thing to look back at the old days of the internet and newer days of the internet. A lot of improvements, but I would argue there were also some, downfalls. Some things that kind of got worse. Because here's the thing, things can get better over time, but it's not a constant upward scale. Sometimes things can get worse. Whenever people say every generation has good or bad things, I feel like they take it literally in the sense that it's an equal 50-50 split, which of course it's not realistic. There's going to be some points where certain things will improve, sometimes certain things will get worse. These things will just happen, and I think it's up to us, the people, to speak when they do. I don't think that's being over nostalgic. I think that just means we understand that perhaps, sometimes it's not a constant upward scale of improvement, so when things kind of get worse, it's kind of up to us to say something. And to me, web design is one of those things that's gotten so bad in recent years. I want to say something about this. I want to talk about this. You're going to hear me be basically an old man sitting in his rocking chair in the park being like, "Hey, buddy, have you ever heard of this thing called chat roulette? I remember when Screw Attack was a thing. Have you played Humongous Entertainment's Freddy Fish?" I hope I become a senile old man, just so I can have some crazy moments in my life. In my last years of my life. Go with a bang, as they say. But anyway, in this video I'm going to be talking about 10 of some things that I just dearly miss from the old days of the internet that really didn't need to go, honestly. What purpose did they need to go? I don't know. Now, I don't know if this is a specific term. I call them page navigators. Like when you go to the bottom of a website that has like a multiple selection of something, like images, videos, and on the bottom you'd see buttons that say previous, 1, 2, 3, little dots where you could like put in a number, or like next, last, first, all that kind of stuff. I call them page navigators because it's kind of what they are. I wouldn't be shocked if that was their actual term. And I'm actually a genius. For some reason though, a lot of current websites don't want to use these anymore, and just expect you to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through whatever page you're on. And some pages have a lot of content, so you just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. YouTube recently removed the option to make it so that you can look through someone's content from oldest to newest. I don't know why so many websites are doing this, because here's the problem with the scrolling thing. It gets to the point where so much is loading, or has loaded, that it starts slowing down your browser. And it gets a pain just to continue scrolling, and scrolling, and scrolling, to probably find one thing, or maybe, I don't know, let's say you're on Markiplier's YouTube channel, and you just want to see a random video of his you either haven't seen in a while, or just something to like watch while you're eating a big old plate of spaghetti and you put too much Parmesan cheese on it, and that shit's gonna clog your arteries. I'm not speaking from experience, by the way. I am, actually. I'm gonna die at like 30, I guarantee it. And it just, I don't know why they remove it. Why do so many websites do it? DeviantArt did it. Twitter, of course, does it because that's a constant feed website. It makes kind of sense for like social media sites because they're meant to be a constant feed. But, for a lot of websites that aren't meant to be like that, the reason I think they do it is because of smart devices, because that's how you typically navigate through stuff on your phone. And for some reason, a lot of websites, they know that most people go to the mobile version, so they don't really give a lot of attention to the desktop version. Even Newgrounds has done this recently. Even Newgrounds. It's like, Newgrounds is usually the place where they have like great web design. But then even they started doing it. It's like, why? Why Newgrounds? Why? Why Tom Folk? Why? Now, I understand, in some places, they still have that function. If you look stuff up on Google, on your desktop, there will still be the 1, 2, 3 page select. And there are some other websites that still have it. I can't remember which ones. I was surprised when I found it on one. Newgrounds still has it in like certain parts of the site. But what I'm trying to say is like, why get rid of that? Because you want to make it more like the mobile version, or more modern. Because all it does is that if you keep scrolling, it'll just slow down your browser, and it just gets obnoxious. Look, if I'm on Markiplier's YouTube channel and I want to see a random video, and I want to go to the 1, 2, 3 next thing and go to the search part and just put 23 to go to the 23rd page, that should be my choice. I shouldn't have to scroll just to do that. Number 2, GIF profile pictures. And back then, in the old Wild West era of the internet, you go on YouTube, you go on like some other site, and someone would have a GIF, a GIF, as their profile picture. I know everyone's gonna go have a fit and be like, is it GIF or is it GIF? Look, I don't care. Can we just have them as their profile pictures again? I thought, as technology advanced, we're supposed to be getting more options because technology can handle these things. When was it getting to the point where, the internet couldn't handle loading a GIF for a profile picture? You see GIFs all over Twitter. There's an entire section filling in GIFs. There's an entire section on Facebook about GIFs. I think, YouTube's community tab might want... hang on. Let me double check this. I'm going to YouTube's community tab right now to double check. Oh yeah, you can upload GIFs onto the community tab on YouTube. So why can't we have them as our profile pictures? Why? I mean, this was something that was just, you saw everywhere in, the late 2000s. You can't tell me the technology can't handle it. If someone's internet can't handle it, how's that my frickin' problem? And if it really is that much of a problem, here. Crazy idea here. A custom option so that if someone has a GIF profile picture, you can flip a switch so that whenever you're on your profile or going down a feed, they would play automatically. Or if it's too much for your Windows 11 computer to handle, you can flip the switch the other way, and when you go to the same page, it's the first frame of the GIF that's frozen. Let people have options. What's this fucking nonsense about taking away options? Number 3, speaking of options, this is kind of relating to options, and this is honestly just a pet peeve of mine. I miss square profile pictures. Why is everything gotta be round these days? Maybe everything gotta be a circle. Alright, I don't like circle profile pictures, because here's the thing, when you think of buttons, like your keyboard, they're not all circles, they're squares. Because they fill the spaces so your fat fingers can hit the right one, right? So when you're going around and clicking on someone's profile picture, imagine if it was a square profile picture, that little corner thing, the little corner that's a part of the profile picture. If you click that part with a circle profile picture, because it's technically not there, it doesn't count. Why? Here's the thing, you still have to upload them as a square. So what's the point in cropping it in a circle? Cause it's futuristic and everything has to be round in the future. Oh yeah, that's a great idea when you're driving down the road and you see the square, when you see a stop sign, you think of the octagon, right? That's like the shape that is designated for the stop sign. Now it's a circle. You know what, those letters that are inside, the stop sign, those aren't circles. Turn them into circles. That'd be real fucking helpful. I just don't like how everything has to be a circle. Why can't we just do the Y2K aesthetic? That aesthetic that came in the late 90s and early 2000s, and have everything still be kind of squarish, but more designed to look futuristic in a sense that they have round edges. It kind of gave this sense of futuristic. That was the whole point of the Y2K aesthetic, was to sort of give people an idea of what the future could be like. And oddly enough, despite being an aesthetic that's over 20 years old at this point, it's more futuristic now than it was when it came to be. Newgrounds has a really cool function where if you pay to be a supporter of the site, which isn't that much, it's like $3. It's a monthly thing of $3, but still your choice, obviously. I pay for it because I love Newgrounds. You can choose to have different shapes for as a frame for your profile picture and different colors for that frame. I have a square because I'm stuck in the 2000s and I chose to color red because I'm an edgelord. But you got all sorts of shape options. You got stars, you got octagons and hexagons, you got all sorts of weird shapes. You got hearts, you got the circle. What? Why don't we have this as an option? Why isn't this standard? If independent Newgrounds, which isn't owned by a company by the way, can do it, I see no reason why it shouldn't be a default option on every other site. Number 4, skewomorphism and flare. Everything is so dang boring visually. What happened with design and everything becoming oversimplified? And here's the thing, minimalism looks good when not everyone's doing it. Minimalism is appealing because it shows you can do a lot with a small amount of detail. Now it just feels like people are doing it because, oh, small amount of detail. That means I don't have to put as much effort in. Minimalism is a good art style because it shows you can do a lot with little. You know, still a good amount of effort. But now it feels like so many websites do it because it's the easier way out. Everything's got to be round, everything's got to be simple, everything's got to be flat colors. Everything has to be boring. You know what skewomorphism is? It's this term for graphic design and web design that gives objects a sense of depth, using shading and gradings to make them appear as three-dimensional. And it worked, and it looked cool. Do I think the shading could have been done a little better? In a lot of skewomorphism, they just use black shading, which for those who don't know, black shading doesn't look as good as colored shading. Like, let's say you're using, let's say you have a color of blue and you want to give it shading. Don't just give it black or a darker blue. Give it, like, a purple. And that would make the shading look so much better. Usually when I give shading to, like, a paper sheet white, I go for a light blue. And that was the only problem I had with skewomorphism, because the shading was just black instead of, you know, different kinds of colors that would more complement it. I feel as if we could be doing that now, instead of just making everything flat. I hear some people say, it's not appealing, I want everything to be flat, boring, and I can make it on a crayon. Look, if I can make it on MS Paint within like 10 seconds, I'm sorry, but it ain't a good design. There was a point in time where the Xbox One's logo was really just a regular font that says Xbox One with a solid shade of green in the background. I could literally make that in MS Paint in like 5 seconds. And you know what's funny? Anytime you criticize, like, the oversaturation of minimalism and everything becoming too simple, you get these people coming out of the woodwork and Twitter being like, I'm a graphic designer and you're objectively wrong. Yes, sir. Yes, supposed professional, because clearly you don't understand that people have their own difference of opinions. Also, if you're so much of a professional, why are you wasting your time arguing with randos on Twitter and not doing your dang job? If you go ahead and claim I'm a this as, a rebuttal for someone else's argument to say that you're objectively wrong in your own personal opinion, I'm just going to assume you're not actually the thing that you're saying that you are. You just assume, because people don't like to criticize the professionals, that if you say that you're a professional, then everyone would just take your opinion as a fact. And that's not how things work, buckaroo. Just have some visual flair. Please. Number 5, that's MySpace level customization. You have no idea how much I missed this. Oh my god. YouTube used to have an option for your profiles for customization where you could do so much. Nowadays it's just, profile picture, the banner. I could put 5 playlists on my page and I can change the order of them. Riveting. But back then, you could do all that and so much more. You could have background images. You could have colored font, different sized font. And for the frames that the text was in, you could change the color of that too. There was so much you could do with them. You know, and with the addition of other things with skewomorphism and animated GIF profile pictures, there was so much personality. I call it MySpace level customization because that's where most people remember it from. Most people remember MySpace with all that crazy customization, and you click on someone's page, and, you know, they would also have a thing where music would just play automatically, music that they choose, of course, and sometimes it would just scare the fuck out of you, because it comes out of nowhere, and it's sometimes just the loudest, intrusive shit, but it was still cool because, you know, it meant giving people an opportunity to spread their personality. It was weird, but, you know, YouTube does the same thing with auto-playing videos when you go to someone's YouTube channel. It's not like things really changed that much, but, yeah, they changed enough for me to make this video, I guess. Like I said, nowadays when it comes to customizing your YouTube channel, just change the profile picture, the banner. You can move a playlist up and down. And here's the thing, too. With those old YouTube channels, everything was just on one page. If you needed to go to another page for something on that channel, it was just a big list of videos, or the list of the playlist, or the playlist itself. You know, things that needed to be its own page. Not just, you know, the regular description of the channel, which nowadays you just have all of this stuff as different tabs. Why does it all need to be different tabs? Why does the community need to be its own tab? Why does the info and the description of the channel need to be its own tab? Why do playlists need to be its own tab when, you know, when your earliest versions, all that was on one page? It was simple. Oh wait, it doesn't work for mobile versions. This goes to YouTube also. This is like a pet peeve of mine. But I hate when I pause a video and the timeline overlaps the video. I don't know why that bugs the hell out of me, right? You put a mouse over top of the video, the timeline goes over it. You can't see the timeline normally when the mouse is out. It completely disappears. So you have to put the mouse inside the video or pause the video to see it. So tell me this, stupid canupid, why couldn't it be like the older days, where the timeline was a separate thing, you didn't constantly need to move your mouse to see where you're at in a video, and it wasn't intrusive to the video itself? And why is it that everyone just adopted this formula of, the timeline needs to just get in the way of everything? If you want to pause something to go ahead and show someone a specific detail, and it details around the bottom of the screen, it's gonna be covered up by the timeline. Or like other platforms where the big pause button's in the center of the screen, that's gonna cover up some stuff. It's not the biggest problem, but it's a pet peeve of mine. You know, I get it. You don't want things to get in the way of the video, but here's the thing, it didn't get in the way of the video. That was the point, that's why it was separate. And, you know, some people would say, oh, but if it goes full screen, it'll get in the way. Not really. Okay, here's an idea. Here's an idea. Make it so that the timeline is seen whenever you're inside the regular mode of YouTube or theater mode, but when you go to full screen, that's when it disappears and that's when it can overlap. Or, just make that an exclusively mobile feature that it overlaps. Because once again, I know for a fact it was also done for mobile devices. Every dumb decision of web design that does not work for desktop is done solely because most people are on their phones nowadays, so we gotta designate all this design to mobile users, but we're not gonna go ahead and create alternate versions or design things for desktop. You're all just gonna have to deal with, you know, mobile design ideologies on desktop versions. Another thing about YouTube, the recommended section and the more from this channel. Did you know there was a point in time where everything on the side of the YouTube channel, you know, more from this channel, the recommended section, or related videos, they had different tabs. And that was so useful. But nowadays, it's so weirdly set up, because it seems like a mix between all three, but no sense of organization whatsoever. Yes, I know now there are different buttons that have like different tags over top, but the tags are, I feel like the tags are designed by an algorithm, because you could be watching something like an Oni Plays video, and instead of more from Oni Plays, the tag could just be, Let's Plays Game Grumps. Well, it's just like, dude, I just want to either see more from Oni Plays, and if I don't, let me have that option. Let me have that option to have videos that are related to what I just saw, that aren't from my recommended section, or more from that channel. You know, let people discover things. It was so convenient that you had them separated in 3 sections that you could just click and boom. You want to see more from the channel? Click, boom. You want to go ahead and see related videos? Okay, close that and then open the other one. You want to see recommended videos? Okay, close that and open the other one. It was that simple. Why did you get rid of that? And here's the thing, that's something that can still work in mobile. That's something that didn't even need to change. But you did it anyway. I guess different's better, I guess. Next, annotations. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, there are these little blocks that you could put into your video that would have lines of text. Sometimes they could be behind the scenes, trivia, or corrections if you got something wrong. It was straightforward, they were easy to use, and not only that, there was so much you could do with them. There wasn't really a limit to how many you could use. You could change their background color, their font size, and I believe their font color, but I believe the options were only just white and black. But still, more than what we have now, obviously. You could put them at any point in time in the video, you could put links inside of them, and here's the thing, you could even make them invisible and have links inside of them to other videos, and that led people to do some really cool stuff with end screens. And there were YouTubers that took full advantage of this. Chaka Conroy, a Let's Play YouTube channel, used to have entire videos that were guides for his Let's Plays, and he took full advantage of the annotations. It was cool, but now those videos are just kinda worthless, because annotations are gone. And what do we have now? Endcards. You can only have 4. They can only be put in the last 20 seconds of the video. You can only have channel and links if you have at least one video end card, so you have to waste one of them so you could use the others. They take up so much of the screen, you can't shrink them at their default size, but they take up so much space. You can overlap them, which you could with annotations, and they're just an eyesore. It's dumb. I hate it. You know, annotations, they worked. They were fine. Let me guess. Mobile? I'm gonna assume. Yes, I know there's also this annotation that they can put in the top left or top right of the screen, and it can have a link in it, but you don't have that same level of customization. You're still limited in how much you can do with it. It's just, why? Why? Why is it that as web design gets older, technology advances and we learn more about the capabilities of web design, that we're going backwards in the options? You're stripping away options. You're stripping away creative expression. Yeah, what the fuck is your problem? Because these things exist. We should just all go back to Nokia cell phones. Them things can survive an explosion. Next, Flash support. Adobe, as of late 2020, it was December 2020, I believe, has ended online Flash support. That means anything that's related to Flash, whether that be Flash videos, Flash animations, Flash games, are gone. You can't do anything with them anymore. That has led a lot of websites to get rid of God knows how many online games, or try to adapt in some way. Newgrounds was really cool, because they integrated sort of an emulator called Ruffle. And that has made it so you can still play a lot of these games, or watch a lot of these videos. There's still Flash support, and they still do animated contests, or collabs dedicated to Flash, which is really cool. But everyone else just decided to adapt without. And you know what that means? If you go to the Wayback Machine, I'm sure some of you probably already have, used the Wayback Machine to see, how different things were back then. It won't work properly anymore because Flash is gone. You can't look at videos the way they were because Flash no longer has support. That means a lot of the Wayback Machine is just useless. Now don't get me wrong, there are workarounds. There are some people releasing emulators and trying to preserve as much as they can. There's one thing I know called Flashpoint. I use that a lot for recording Flash footage of games like old Cartoon Network games, and Club Penguin games are on there too. But certain things like MMOs, like the actual Club Penguin itself, they're gone. I like what Newgrounds did. Newgrounds did something really cool with Ruffle and supporting Flash. I can understand why some other websites didn't because, it's gone. It's Adobe's choice to not support Flash anymore. So, other websites had to adapt, and Flash was basically kind of dead at that point anyway, so there's not really much of a point in really fighting to preserve it for other sites. Newgrounds was the exception. I give props to Newgrounds, but I don't necessarily hold it against other websites for needing to change. Now this is the last one. This is the big one. I hate how it feels like we only just have 5 big sites nowadays, like YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, TikTok. It feels like everyone needs to be in these specific areas, when back then there were so many different websites you could choose from. Newgrounds, which still is a thing, but you also had Stick Suicide, Stupid Videos, Funny Junk, forum sites, God knows how many other options. There was so much. Everyone had their own designated little homes and platforms. And you want to know why Twitter sucks? You want to know why Twitter is so terrible? It's not because Elon Musk is ruining it, because honestly it was already pretty bad before he even got it. It was unbearable. It's because all of these different people don't have their own respective platforms anymore, so they all migrate to the same area. And while that sounds like a good idea on paper, have it be like a melting pot of different types of people, that means all of these different ideologies are going to clash with one another. And there's going to be people bickering and sending death threats and hate campaigns and blah 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 blah. You get people with so many different ideologies in one room, there's gonna be a fight. And that's what Twitter is. I wish there was more options, and I'm glad to say that it seems like we're getting more options, especially for art creative sites. There's Inkblot, for an example. That's a new one. It seems like some people are getting tired of everything just being centralized in just these few sites. But it still doesn't change the fact that it seems like we're still stuck in that position, and we're probably going to be for a while. And even if one site goes down, people will just all migrate to the other just because it has more numbers. People care about making a living on the internet, which isn't bad, of course, I'm not trying to judge that, but people care about that so much that they will just go to the biggest one just because it has the most numbers, when that probably just means you're going to be buried more by other people, and it's just going to be a repeat of history. I miss the days where you could just go like wherever the fuck you wanted. Now, some of these platforms still exist. Newgrounds, of course, still exists. I think Funny Junk still does. I'm not sure. Forum sites absolutely do. There's still Smashboards and KH13 for Kingdom Hearts. But it feels like we have less options. And I don't like that. Those are things I miss from the older days of the internet. The convenience, the customization, the personality, it was all just so fun. And I'm not going to say modern internet is the worst thing ever. And if I am going to consider it to be bad, it's not going to be because of that stuff. A lot of those are just nitpicks I wish that they would do. Some things are annoying, really annoying, don't get me wrong. But some of them are nitpicks, some of them are just based on, I don't like the fact how so many websites are catering to mobile versions while not, optimizing for desktop. But, if we're going to go over the problem, and, if we're going to go for the problems of the internet, it's not going to be based on these little nitpicks. It's going to be more based on the interaction of certain people. It's going to be based on sometimes fandom or certain communities or stuff like cringe culture and whatnot. That's the kind of stuff that I feel as if really affected the internet in a worse way than just changing of web design. This is just annoying in comparison to that. But anyway, that's all of them. I wish we could get some of these back, especially the customization. That was fun. Let us be able to customize like old YouTube, if not more options in that regard. I would love to see what you could do now with modern tech. But anyway, that's the end of the video. I hope you all had a beautiful day, and I hope it gets even more beautiful. Your connection will be strained.